Donnie and Dolly, the team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
Okay. All of our guests today, including Giulio Caravatta, standing by. Sponsored by Basant Motors. It's No Tax November at Basant Motors this month. Let Basant pay the GST with the purchase of your next new-to-you vehicle. Learn more at basantmotors.com. Just before we get to Giulio Caravatta, Delaney's OK Tire and Langley inbox. Telly in North Vancouver. Sunday, one of the best sports Sundays in BC in a long time. First, we find out Davies is not going to miss the World Cup, hamstring injury. I don't know if you saw that on the weekend. Seahawks win. The BC Lions win a huge playoff game, and then the Canucks didn't play. Again, from Telly in North Vancouver. A shot at the Canucks.
Shot at the Canucks.
As we bring in Giulio Caravatta in the wake of a 30-16 Lions playoff win over the Stampeders. Giulio spat it up. He's ready to go for this hit. How are you, sir?
I'm good, guys. How are you?
Very well. Do we make too much about Spatgate and the fact that Nathan Rourke wasn't spatted up for the first half and was for the second? Because his feet were an issue, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think he said it best afterwards is that, it's a fluid situation, right? And it's going to be something he's going to have to deal with, right? I don't think he's anywhere near 100%, but I'll take the, between 80 and 90% Nathan Rourke anytime. I thought he was courageous. He stood in there. That's a very, very good defense in Calgary. And for him to have, stood in there, and have the mental part of it, dealing with the injury and having to think about that, because, that's a natural instinct. I think it showed, again, another aspect to his game of that toughness. I just thought he was brilliant yesterday.
You've been with this franchise through thick and thin, Giulio, both as a player and an analyst. When's the last time the Lions had a day that special at BC Place?
Oh, wow. Yeah, I can't remember. I said at the beginning of the game, when Sarah McLachlan was out there and she was singing the anthem, and then when that finished, the anticipation of the team coming out, and when they did come out, the excitement in the crowd, it gave me goosebumps. And it's been a while since I felt that. I just think, again, it just goes to show the hard work. I had a chance to talk to Amar Doman at halftime, and it must have been very gratifying for him, all the hard work that he's put in, and that entire Lions organization, to see, the results of a lot of hard work, getting people in the stands. A lot goes into that, and so when you see it all culminate, it's a good feeling, and good on Vancouver for showing up. It was a really, really great atmosphere in there yesterday.
Giulio, go back to Rourke for me. What did you like? I know he had a long layoff, so what did you like? What does he need to improve on going into obviously the biggest game of the year?
Yeah, you know what, Rick? I honestly, he just continues to amaze me. I won't lie. I don't want to exaggerate that point, but it just, I've been, like you said, I've been around the game a long time. I've seen a lot of quarterbacks, and what Nathan Rourke has is a special gift. It leaps out at you when you watch him play. I think it's everything it's the entire package. And I think what I was most impressed with was, as I said earlier, was the toughness part of it. Not that I questioned his toughness before, but to be able to, stand in there when you know that you're not 100%, and you're limited with the way that you can move around, and that they know that. And so, they came with pressure. They came after him. They knew that they had a bit of a wounded animal back there, and they wanted to kind of try to expose that. For him to stand in there and deliver the way that he did, sure, there was a few throws I'm sure he would want back. But for the most part, 22 of 30 for 321 yards and 2 touchdowns. again, his anticipation, the way he reads the defense, the way he gets rid of it. And I think the other big part of this is how he elevates his team. I think that every single guy on that field, not that they're not going 100% when anybody else is in there, but I think there's a level of confidence that they gain when he's in there that when you have that kind of relationship, it's special. And we'll see if they can keep it going. This is going to be a tough test against, the champs, and I'm sure that they're looking forward to the opportunity.
Okay, so look ahead to Winnipeg. What do they got to do? I mean, it's going to be cold. We know that. It's Winnipeg. Yeah. It's November. The running game is going to be big. Butler's a little bit banged up. He's got an ankle issue, but what do they got to do in Winnipeg to even have him?
Well, yeah, no, sorry. I mean, again, when you get to this time of the year, guys, you're dealing with the best teams, right? You're dealing with teams that deserve to be there, and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers have shown over the last few years that they are, the king of the mountain, right? They've showed that. What you need to do is play a similar game to what they were able to do against Calgary. You got to be smart. You can't take penalties. What was the penalties? I think the Lions had 3 penalties for 28 yards. And it was Calgary that really kind of hurt themselves.
Yeah, they took a ton.
Yeah, and key penalties at key times. Yeah. Not like roughing the passer, but just like penalties that took them out of worsened their field position. And I think so. And the other big part of this is their Lions' ability to run the ball. We talked about ad nauseam the Calgary running game, and I think it was overlooked at how good the Lions' running game is. Mm-hmm. And James Butler, I think, was fantastic. And their ability to control the line of scrimmage, and that's a tough task, and it'll be a tough task against Winnipeg. I mean, their front four with Willie Jefferson and Jackson Jeffcoat, those guys are they're marquee players, right? They get after the quarterback. They're going to take a look at that film, and they're going to move those guys around up front. They're going to try to create mismatches, and that's part of the beauty of the game is now that chess match between the offensive coordinators and the defensive coordinators on trying to outwit each other. And so I thought that, what the Lions' game plan was exactly what they wanted to do. They executed it perfectly. And let's not overlook the fact that Rick Campbell and Jordan McSimic, I think the offensive coordinator for the Lions, to pull that call off when they did. Now, you look at what Calgary did. Yep. They tried twice on third down and didn't get it. And so then, the one thing that I thought at the time, if you can remember back, what I think they got sacked.
Yep.
And it was 2nd and 18. Mm-hmm. And they were able to get themselves 17 yards. Not the first down, but they got 17 yards. I thought, wow, for them to convert on 2nd and 17, like they're because I thought for sure 3rd and 1 they're gonna quarterback sneak and convert that. I thought, well, this is going to be fantastic because now they're in Calgary territory. It's a big play, and then to pull that call off. And I had said earlier in the broadcast to Moj that, we've seen that formation and we've seen that motion by the wide receiver. And I said at one point they're going to give it to him. I didn't think they were going to pass it. I thought they were going to use him and give it to him on like a jet sweep to get outside. But to execute that play at that time, and Antonio Pipkin deserves a ton of credit because if you look at that replay,
mm-hmm. He took a
hit.
He
got in on him really fast. And he had to get rid of that ball before he could even see the receiver. He just lofted it into space, anticipating where Hatcher was going to be. So, it takes big stones to pull that off at that time. And had he not gotten it, it would have been maybe a turning point for the Calgary Stampeders.
Yep. I thought you were going to say that you predicted that play.
Yeah.
You could have said that. Yeah.
I didn't do a Romo. I can't predict those kinds of things.
That'd be pretty impressive. Just very quickly, Giulio, you've touched on it here, but they held Calgary. The Lions defense did to 83 total yards rushing. That wasn't supposed to happen. What did you see?
Well, I saw Ryan Phillips, a young defensive coordinator. He just, I think, came up with a very good game plan on how to try to stop it. And it worked. When you have that good a running game, it takes every single player on the field. You got to be very disciplined. Those defensive linemen, they have to be disciplined in attacking gaps and and being disciplined and staying those gaps and allowing the linebackers to fill the holes that you're not going to be in. And I think they were able to do that, right? That they only attempted 10 running plays between those two running backs. Like, if you looked at their totals coming into this game running the ball, it is like, since they played the Lions, like, I think it's progressively gotten, like, you know, they was at like 150, it went to 160, 180, 200, 300 yards rushing. And for them to have been able to stop that offense really was one of the keys to the game, really. We all talked about it. And Ryan Phillips and that defense deserve a ton of credit because they were outstanding yesterday.
Bundle up. Off to Winnipeg you go, Giulio. Yeah. Thanks for this.
Hey, anytime, guys. Thanks. Good to see you, boys.
Yeah, you bet. Giulio Caravatta, Lions defeating the Stampeders 30-16.